Well,
Do we want to do the Psaki Bomb thing?
yeah, you want to do the Psaki Bomb
I
thing?
haven't watched this yet, so this is my first.
Oh, have you seen this, Ben?
I don't think I've seen this. No.
This looks
So
horrifying.
this was an interesting little bit. I came across this video, I have to admit, from that like little bit that was going on about how, one of the Daily Caller, one of those people, was trying to push the narrative that Kamala Harris was having all the kids read her children's book in the detention facilities, which is really messed up. And Jen Psaki, the press secretary, had a very weird retort to that, which was saying like, I don't know anything about it, but I've heard it's a very good book, right?
Honestly, that made me believe the story. It wasn't like I was fooled by the New York Post. It was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Show a bit of sensitivity.
Oh, it was the New York Post. Thanks.
It was a New York Post, and the reporter subsequently resigned, is my understanding, for having to debase themselves as you.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
I mean, so for folks who like aren't familiar, basically, from what I understand, and so I don't have to resign. I'm just saying this is from what I understand from my limited research, is that like in a facility in California, there was like a drive to like get books.
Yep.
And some people gave that book as a part of the drive,
which is unwise.
Which I think is way, 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 way less worse than like the administration like buying Kamala Harris's
in
book.
bulk.
But it's also very messed up. That some like liberal in California is like, these children who are like being detained in cages, right? What if they could read the words and get inspired by the vice president of the country that's doing this to them?
Exactly.
I felt that was still pretty messed up. But again, the right wing made a big deal about it, and it was false. But anyways, somebody posted this video. And I can't read it. If Matt could give me she's a model, right? And somebody else pointed out, I was not able to verify this myself, but this person is very likely a member of the Modell family, which is a
sporting
goods store. I was not able to independently verify this, but this is what somebody who I've interacted with a few times on Twitter told me. Again, so that's my Twitter analysis, official.
Take it to the bank. No, that's
but anyways,
yeah.
Whose tagline though? Their tagline is to make the news less scary, and this is their celebration of White House press secretary.
Isn't that what Steve Pinker wanted to do too?
Censoring me, who was just giving that.
She came in like a Psaki bomb. Yeah, she's nothing like that robot blonde or a Huckabee redemption charm. She handles questions refreshingly. She's our press secretary.
This may be hard to believe. We don't spend a lot of time talking about or thinking about President Trump here. Former President Trump, to be very clear.
During me.
Oh boy. So that's some rough stuff. It's exhausting. I mean, I want y'all to, jump in on this whenever you want, but I will just say, and I tweeted something along the same lines. One of the weirdest things about like Trump has been this liberal, let's drop the press secretary for a second, desire to restore sanctity to the White House press briefing. Now, there was a time in my life where I was a journalist. I would consider myself to be a form of a journalist today, but maybe, I would give a little bit more of my opinion than I did, when I was just, asking questions. And I have been to many, when I was living in DC, I have been to many White House press briefings. These were under the Obama administration, but I think this holds true for all of them.
Yeah, Jay Carney was such a good friend of ours.
Who?
Jay Carney. Press
Jay Carney. They are a spectacle of lies. The whole point of the press briefing is for people in the press to sort of give a clue as to what big stories are going to come out in their papers, and for the press secretary to put the best spin possible on it, or for the press secretary to feed the journalists out there with a line or an intention, whatever, right? So that they do certain things. The point that I'm trying to get at is that the press secretary office of the United States government is a position of propaganda, and it's not a place where like real journalism is being done. Again, this is not coming out White House, press reporters. I'm saying that role explicitly exists to run interference and to get spin for the people in power. Why we're treating this as like some kind of incredible part of democracy versus what it is, which is actually trying to run disruption, is insane. And it's only because of Trump that all these people are, I mean, actually, that's not even true, because beforehand, they still thought it was like so important. I'll tell you a couple quick things. Sorry not to go on too long. One of the most depressing things to a recent college grad, David Griscom, when I had my first opportunity to go to a United States press briefing, I'm going to the White House. I got my suit on. It's shitty as hell, a Goodwill suit, but whatever, right? I feel like I'm looking good. And I'm going in there to hang out and to see democracy at work. And I remember looking at those little eagles on the top of the U.S. flag behind Josh Earnest, who was the press secretary at the time. And I remember looking at them a little closely and realizing that they weren't even metal. They were that kind of cheap plastic, made to look like gold. And it had been so long since they had been changed out that gold paint had eroded, and it was just like black little specks. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, this is the most powerful country in the world, right? And they have $5 little golden eagles over their flag. Again, not to be too particular about that, but I'm just saying, like, this is just, for me, it was like, oh, this is just a facade. Like, this is just the performance. This is made for TV. This is not, there's nothing special or holy about that.
Yeah.
And I think people need to recognize that the space is not a space of like democratic conversation, but instead is, U.S. government spin.
It's a place for lie spotting. Is like, that's the only thing. Yeah. And I feel like liberals, Haldeman of the Nixon administration, liberals of that era had like some understanding of, like they literally called those, like the Nixon guys, I forget, Haldeman and Ehrlichman, the Berlin Wall. That's how we should apply to all of these. And I also wanted to play this other song thing. This is her bringing cookies to everybody.
So we are well aware, and there was some reporting this morning that this was an issue that some supporters of the former president and some Republicans in Congress apparently are licking their chops about how to make children a political issue. We don't see it that way, and we felt this was the moral.
Oh wait, that's the wrong clip. Anyway, she brought cookies to the
that's
press
sort of a funny like mix up there.
Well, it's like that's what now this has in the freaking headline. But here it is. I got it. We need to play this.
Celebration this weekend, and thanks again for joining us. Great, well, thank you, everyone. As I promised yesterday, I promised snacks. I did not bring them in here, but my mother-in-law made homemade chocolate chip cookies for you guys. So there's one for each of you in here. We will do it in a COVID-safe way. But thanks, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Like, the only reason you do that when the cameras are still on is because you want to use it for propaganda. People got really mad at me for saying it's just cookies. It's like, no, it's not just cookies. We're meant to consume this, and not as a cookie, as like a piece of media about how nice Jen Psaki is.
Yeah, no, exactly. And honestly, like, I'm not crazy about journalists, eating cookies from Jen Psaki. Like, I think that. It's a small thing, but I mean, like, this is, as far as like even pretending to have some kind of adversarial relationship, with the government, that's not a great sign.
Absolutely.
And I mean, again, like, honestly, like, I don't want people to get the wrong idea too. It's like, obviously, like, she's working for this administration, and it's absolutely terrible, and that should come with consequences in the moral sense and all that, right? But I think, like, the larger point is that you should understand this is not a system that is meant to get to the truth in any way.
Yeah.
And I'll just say something that might get some people a little annoyed. Like, I think Psaki is incredible, right? At her job. I remember being very impressed with her when I was doing, journalism stuff, when she was at the State Department, right? When she was the press secretary for the State Department, because like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, as like an individual, right? You go in, like, your job is to be told a bunch of information by like high ups in the US government. And then to say, there's a bunch of journalists out there who might be trying to break the story about what we're doing. Find a way to get them off the scent. Or if you feel like they're on the scent, try to find a way to mitigate any kind of like serious culpability or judgment for what we're doing. And it's an immoral job. I think that's like very clear. But as a somebody who might speaks publicly on a certain level, does rhetoric or whatever, it's very impressive to watch somebody who can do it. And she's really good. Like, she is very, very good. And I was impressed with, in an adversarial way, I was impressed with her when she was at the State Department, because in all fairness, like, State Department press briefings versus White House press briefings are way more high level. Because State Department people going to State Department briefings are like serious war reporters or things like that, versus White House, which is a lot like, oh, did Joe Biden, does he have a dog anymore? So this is somebody who is very good at their job, and I know that's what a lot of people are saying. It's like, we're just celebrating like how great it is to have somebody good at their job at the press secretary. And what I'm saying is, that's not what you want as a member of a democracy.
It was better when it was Spicer and Huckabee.
Going to fumble and tell you the truth, right? The fact that she can do a quick spin on things, the fact that she knows how to play people, is honestly something that should be more worrying to you than Huckabee Sanders walking up there every week and just spouting nonsense. And then accidentally breaking big stories for different publications. Like, not to be too like counter take on this one, but probably like the Donald Trump era was probably the most information you ever got from White House press briefings than the Biden or the Obama administration. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's. I feel
it's just like, don't get worked up about this shit. It's like it's theater.
It is like the Randy Rainbow, homosexual thing.